Alright, morning troops. I'm just gonna go back past this guy. I rung him, fucking can't get hold of this dude. It's now Monday. I left him a couple of messages and whatever. Pain in the ass, I don't know whether he's away. Like, he's an older fella, retired, or semi-retired, I'm guessing. And I just fucking wanted these to fit this bloody running board so I can carry on. Doesn't look like there's anybody. I'll just knock on the door just in case. But the other one. Awesome. He is here. Righty. So he was there, so that's good. I must have woke him up when I rang, and he was just getting himself sorted. So yeah, we'll have to have a nosy at those other boards, or running boards, see if they maybe had a spacer underneath, because I've made them to the profile that they are, but they're miles off the, whatever you call those, frickin' like the legs that stick out off the chassis. They're miles off. Right, yeah, it has. It's had something else underneath there, because you can't see where it was sitting on, what do you fucking call those things that come down here and then underneath where it bolts to. But it's definitely had something sitting on there. It's had something down here too, and then back across here again. Yeah, right, so these here, I've lined these up. So this is the opposite one. Line these holes up roughly. So yes, somewhere in here, it's had a frame sit underneath. Definitely, and it almost looks like it's come out the front here, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But it kind of looks like it's had something underneath, and then over here and whatever.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were.
Right, so I got one bend in on the next bit, and I broke the handle off. Here. So that was the old handle. It was on there. It's had on like by, I don't know, it's at barely an inch. So I found a bit of solid bar. I've welded it down there and I'm just doing the same down here, because this one's about to break off as well. Righty, so I got the folder fixed. I'll get out of the other running board bent up. I chopped the excess bit of scrap off there. I've marked roughly where this needs to be trimmed, like here, but I think it's better off just to wait to see to sort of go too much further. The only thing I'm doing at the moment is just together a quick box frame to sit underneath this running board. I've just drilled, I could just line it up with those, just put some T screws in it, and I just drilled some holes. They're not really in the right place. I'll remake this probably, because I need to get some more anyway. I haven't got enough good stuff left, but I just want to use this as proof as concept. So I think what I'll do now is grab the two running boards that I've got done, and then I can go sit this back on the these bits, but not on this car obviously. Don't fit on here. That's a bit big. Go stick it back in this truck frame and then just see whether this is what it needs to make the difference. Righty, the weather's fucking well wet, but that's going to work. I was right, the spacing at the back needs a wee bit more. Needs about 1/2 inch So what I'm going to do is see in the morning whether the engineers down the road here have a bit of 30 by 45 or something like that. This is a frustrating little bit. Because I can't get any more material, I welded this piece together to get a long bit. I've got enough for that leg, and I've got enough for, so it's the one for the off that I cut off there. That really needs to be, instead of 30mm high, it needs to be 45, so it needs to be basically that, half of that again. Get basically half an inch or thereabouts, roughly higher. I need to do the same for the other end. So I've got another piece of scrap here. We're going to cut a piece off of there, but it still doesn't give me the 30 by 45 is what I want. You know, just thinking about, right, morning troops. So we got that steel the other day. So we've got to cut a couple pieces off that, and we'll put together these braces to go underneath these running boards, and hopefully that works. I'm a little bit dubious that 50 is going to be a bit high, but we'll cross that bridge later on. I'll get it cut off, weld it up. It's heavier gauge too. Unfortunately, I couldn't get anything lighter without them having to wait to get it in. It's one of those things. So I'll cut a couple pieces off that, and then we'll weld that on there. Also, so we've got something in house in here to work on, and I'm hopefully I'm going to have a look at some other vehicles too at the weekend. I'm just a guy quite a while ago, I was going to go look at this Valiant. I don't know if I'm going to end up doing it or not, but I'm going to go have a look at it, see what needs done, and assess that. I don't know, it was quite a wee while ago, I think it was November or December last year, that I was sort of talking to the guy, and then he was going to get somebody else to do it, and then, I don't know, obviously nothing's ever happened, so yeah, going to go have a look at that and just see whether he still wants to get it done, or what I think. But anyway, at the moment here, I've got an 80 series Land Cruiser. It's not something I'd normally work on, but it's kind of a friend of the family, and it needs a little bit of work. It needs a wee bit of rust taken out from around there. Clean up from around the windscreen. He's got the screen out of it. So I've got to get up there and have a clean up and just see, make sure there's no holes up there. And then I'll turn the phone on, I'll screw the camera around. It's also got some rot in the door here. So I'll have to whip the door off or whatever and fix that. And then up around here, around these back windows, it's starting to get rusty. So I may not have to take it out. I'm not going to be repainting anything. It's had the other side repainted at some stage, but what he's going to do is, he would normally do this sort of stuff himself, but he just said he hasn't got time at the moment, but he's going to respray the truck himself. But so what we're going to do is we're going to clean it up, and then we'll flick something on it. So it's got a plastic trim here, but we're going to get this out, get the glass out of it, and then clean this all up and treat it, and then obviously assess what we need to do here. But basically needs the rust cleaned up and treated, so it won't come back straight away. What else? There's a couple of bits and pieces I've got to do to it. I need to move that piece of sheet metal. I think there's a hole. You hold down in here, and it's got the same issue on there. And was there something else? I can't remember. Might have been a little bit in the back, was there? Is there a little bit in the tailgate? Oh, yeah, there was. Whether he knows this, I don't know. We'll have to see, because see how easy this back window is to get out. And maybe just do a little bit of clean up here as well. Righty, so we got the door off. Get into position. So I'm just going to paint off the bottom of the door, and then possibly cut the bottom off it. I think I pulled the rubber away from around the bottom. It's crusty. I just want to see if there's any other spots that's broken through, because it is quite rusty in behind here on the end of the panel. I just want to see what's going on. I think I would get away with, I almost need to cut at this dip and this line in here, but not quite. I'll probably have to get this off eventually. I think what I'll do is I'll just strip this off here just to see if there's any more holes coming through. It looks like there could be, but it's hard to tell. But it is quite rusty in there, especially the bottom, but like it's quite scabby on the back side of this. I just want to see what it looks like underneath some of this, if you know what I mean. See what I can get away with cutting off.
But all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays. Way back a year ago. I'm not falling. I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going in life. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays. Way back a year ago.
Right, now we've got some crap out of it. It's pretty crunchy up till here. So that's where that moulding's sitting in. You can see the plugs in the rack. It's pretty damn bad in there. It really needs to come off the bottom. And I need to get all the seam sealer at least out of around here. And it's all crunching up here and whatever. Like it's starting to rot in here too. So yeah, I might have all yarn to them, but I'll still cut the bottom off anyway, just in case we repair it. We might just see if we can have a look at this other door shell that he's got. I don't know what it's like. Apparently it's got a big dent in it somewhere. Like, I don't know where. It's off must be a parts vehicle or something. And it's got a big stove through it somewhere. But maybe, I don't know, you could possibly cut the bottom part off it, pick that out and straighten out the bottom of the skin and weld it on. Like, it's probably just as easy to make another bottom, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. But that really needs to cut from that line, or just below that line down, because that'll the moulding will hide that join. I think that's what we need to do anyway. So I think we'll flip this back over and we'll see if I can get that weather shield off it too, just so I don't break the fucking thing. And we'll go from there. Righty. Well, that's fucking a pain in the ass, isn't it? Wait for fucking carpets, and the cunts are the wrong colour. They sent me walnut colour. I asked for chocolate dark brown to sort of match, you know, what would have originally been before they sort of, you know, went orange with that orangey brown. Like they're sort of that chocolatey orangey, well, chocolate brown. You know, they've sort of faded, obviously, sun bleached, whatever. I'll show you what I what I thought I was ordering and what they sent me. So yeah, this is like the original colour carpets, you know, like sort of hidden in the, obviously in the slightly darker areas, you know, obviously parts that are like really fawned out and whatever, you know. The interior is going to be brown, that winey browny colour. You can see it's quite a dark browny sort of colour, which is what I thought I was getting. Alright. I said to the guy I wanted frickin' chocolate. Like that was the listing. Fucking walnut. Even says worn out on here. Why they sent me that, I don't know. They just turned up. Mrs. just brought them in here. And I'm going, what the hell? Not even close to the right colour. That's going to look fucking stupid in here. You know, against the dark brown interior. Fucking hell. Alright. I'll carry on with this door a little bit and then we'll bugger off and we'll come back and do some more tomorrow. Also, I just realised they never sent me the frickin' little bungs to go in the boot lid for the badging. None of them in the packet, in the bag. And they're also meant to send me a new one of those. I haven't sent that either. Right, morning troops. Can you see me there? Not really, kind of. Not quite a wide enough view. Anyway, so just working back on this door Saturday morning. Haven't really got a lot of time here today. Unfortunately, Mrs. had to go to town early this morning with her son to do a couple of messages in town, so I just sat at home with the young fella. So I couldn't get down here, so that wasted, well, I was hoping to get down here about 9 o'clock to basically get this buttoned up, you know, do a couple of small repairs down the bottom here and this bottom edge, and then get that skin, I would say 90% on, if you know what I mean. But if I can get these couple of repairs done and at least get that tacked in and maybe the edges hammered over, I'll be happy enough. I would come back after lunch and do it, but I'm going to go look at a Valiant. I was going to go look at it near the end of last year sometime. I can't remember exactly when. It was the time, at that time when I did that video on TikTok, and I had about 40,000 views, and I got quite a lot of replies. And it was one of the cars that somebody had messaged me, and I'm just trying to plug it at the door. One of the cars that somebody had messaged me and asked me to go have a look at, and then we just couldn't quite get the time to gel together, and then he messaged me back and he's going to get somebody else to do it and all that sort of thing, and then now I'm going to have another look at it, so I'll just get this plug out of my hand before it's locked in. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Obviously, whatever he had planned at the time wasn't going to happen and whatever, so I'm going to go over to have another look at that. We'll have a look at that. So it's a early 70s Chrysler Valiant from Australia. So it's nothing like the American ones. It's if you looked up the Australian Valiant Chargers, it's that body shape. I think it's still classed as an A body, I would think. It's still that sort of same underpinnings as like the darts of, you know, like the 60s, the late 60s era. It's not the narrow platform like the early mid 60s stuff, like the 64, 65, 66, 67s. I even think that even the 68s might have been the narrow platform, and then they went wider when they went to some of the dart bodies and stuff like that. I think still using that sort of same sort of underpinnings, but the outside skeleton was quite a different car compared with the American stuff. And that's when they started using the Hemi 6, they call it. It's not really Hemi, it's more of a polysphere head. It's not a wedge head per se, it's sort of off-canted valves, and it's not really a Hemi, but it's not really a wedge. It's more of a poly sort of head, but non-cross-flow. But they were pretty tough 6 back in the day. They're 265 cubic inches, factory biggest. I think they started 215, which we never really got here in New Zealand. I don't know if there's any 215s here. And then there was 245s, and then there was V8 versions as well, which come out in 318s. And there was a couple of 340s floating around in variances. And then there was, like in the later models, and some of the later stuff, they had like 360s as well. They were pretty rare. 318s were pretty common. Well, I wouldn't say common, but they were more common. And then the 340s and 360s were pretty rare. I think maybe some of the later V8s, you know, might the 318s or 360s might have been a bit more common. But the 340s were always pretty rare in just about anything really. But anyway, so I'm going to fix this door, and then well, I'll get this door fixed, and then I'll head home for some lunch, and then a wee bit after lunch we're heading over towards Gore, and I'm going to have a look at this Valiant, so we'll do that. Well, also, I'm not sure what's going to happen with this carpet yet. I messaged the guy on Friday. I didn't ring him, but I'll ring him on Monday just to see what the fuck happened there, because there's no badging clips either, and there's no little body plug for the front of that cowl. None of that turned up at all. And then the carpet's the completely fucking wrong colour. It should be like a chocolate dark brown, not a freaking creamy walnutty sort of tanny off brown sort of colour. that's my bit buggered for this morning. So what I really need to do is get another couple of fucking cans of that sent out to me. And some other bits and pieces, and we'll get the skin sorted on Monday, or I might even come down here later, I don't know, we'll see, or tomorrow. Might spend another hour or two down here just to see if I can get that skin sorted. And then you get that sealed up. Oh yeah, no I can't, because I need some more of that. I'm basically out, because I'd like to clean it up and then spray obviously that with some weld through in here before we clamp everything over and weld it up. I can get in there and spray a lot of it, but it'd be nice just to get, especially in around the edges where you're not going to, so easy to get back into. So yeah, we'll deal with that probably. We'll see. We might do a wee bit tomorrow, but yeah, otherwise it'll be Monday at this point. Yeah, I freaking forgot I was just about out of that. Bugger. Anyway, that's all right. We'll catch us later on. Right, morning everybody. So back here, so we get this door fixed for that, and then we'll get a blend it out, just get a screw filler on it, and get that ready for primer at some point. You know, we'll just prime the bottom of the door and blend it up a little bit into the other piece. It won't be too much. We're not going to go crazy on this. We're just going to get it to a point where it's kind of ready for paint within reason. We're not doing too much, just the pieces repaired, because he said at some point, probably also what I'll do is I actually need to order some, of that and a couple other bits and pieces. And actually, what I'm thinking is the epoxy and a rattle can that I got there a while ago, I might get a couple of cans of that back, and that might be just all right to flick on the bottom of this once I've got it sorted and even got some 2-pack on it and whatever. We'll just flick a bit of that on it, because it's just like a dark grey. That'll seal it up, and just sort of keep it weather tight in the meantime, and then it'll sort of, I wouldn't say blend in, but it won't be quite so obvious that it's been played with a little bit, if you know what I mean. And then when he's ready to do whatever he's going to do with the paint, because like it's not that bad on the side. Like obviously it needs some touches up from there. I think the doors, like the front guard and these two doors might have been repainted or whatever. But I think he's talking about repainting the whole thing again. Doesn't really matter, but yeah, I'm not doing any of that. It's just going to be touched up. Now, right, I had a look at this Valiant at the weekend, Saturday morning, or afternoon, sorry. So I was actually, when I looked at it, I was like, that car's familiar. And I actually flipped through this morning while I was doing some editing. You'll see it in the early part of the video. I remembered that I'd seen it at one of the car shows, and I wasn't 100% sure if it was at the Lawrence Reef Rock and Hot, but it was. And it was the first one. It was the last time I ever seen it cruising around. And I'd seen it cruising around at other stages, like way back before I was sort of really doing videos on YouTube. Well, I probably was doing videos on YouTube, but I wasn't really going around doing car show stuff and whatever. You know, I'm talking sort of 2015 sort of thing. Or might have been even earlier than that. Because there's been some other big stuff that I've gone and looked at and whatever. Oh, might have done clips, maybe? Oh, I can't remember. It's a long time ago. Like almost 10 years ago. And I think it was at one of those car shows years ago. And I think it had at the moment it's got this really quite scruffy, rusty white bonnet on it, or hood on it. But yeah, and it did in 2020 as well at the Lawrence Car Show. So yeah, there's a very short clip of that. It was I only had it in view for, I don't know, a few seconds, and I stretched the video out. I just slowed it right down so people could have a bit of a look. But yeah, that's the car that I was looking at the weekend. So it's already had some bodywork done, and the passenger side, or the left-hand side, front door, back door, and back guard. It's okay work. It's reasonable. He's not too worried about it, but I think it's had a door change in the back. I'll show you. Just trying to show you. I'll show you on this Marina. So it's had a back door changed, but unfortunately the door fits good down here. Well, it's reasonable down here, but for some weird reason, I don't know whether the door's off a different model or something like that, but it's like really low in here. So what he's done, he's got the other door, the old door off it. That's not worth fixing, but what he's talking about is maybe chopping it through here and putting the other frame on it. So, because it fits better, and put that on. And then this back wheel arch is a bit wonky, but the chrome trim, it's got like some trim on it that hides that. But so it really needs the front sheet metal done. He's going to pull the glass out of it. He's going to pull the interior out of it. He's going to pull the motor out of it. And in around the back window, it's got some rot in the inner structure. I think the boot lid needs some work. The worst of it is this side. It needs the wheel arch rebuilt. It's got some rot in the door, and I think there's a couple other bits and pieces too. And the rest of it just needs a really good. He doesn't want to go gung-ho on it, but it's I've basically got to get it prepped for paint. So we're cleaning everything out. We'll probably strip the bonnet completely. We'll get it blasted or something. But the rest of it we will just pull hard back. Probably just rip it into with some 60 grit and DA of everything that hasn't been primed up on the other side. I will scuff that back and probably just quickly go over it, make sure it's decent. He doesn't want it to be a fucking show car. I kind of understand where he's going, but he's got another motor to put in it that's been all rebuilt. But he wants just a really good, clean driver, obviously. And so yeah, it'll really depend on what it needs. I think it's actually got a bit of rot in the inside the door and the inner wheel arch and the dog leg too on the other side. But it's sort of mainly this side and then in and around the back window and a few other bits and pieces, bit of rot in the door and whatever. I gave him a rough ballpark, kind of what I thought would take to do it. But I said, it'll just depend on what I find in there. I said, it could be sort of between here and here, like price range. I said, it just really depends. So hopefully, he's going to try and get it stripped out this week, over a period of a couple of nights or whatever. Maybe he might have been stripping it out at the weekend as well. But if this one goes all right, there's I think it's a 280Z Fairlane. Not Fairlane. Fairlady, Nissan Fairlady. That's been really played with. It's got the fucking big pumped out wheels, but it's his son's and they want flares on it and all sorts of shit. So that may be in the pipeline. It's not really what I want to do, but I don't mind doing that sort of thing. It could be one of those things. I don't think I'm really into the big JDM frickin' pumped out wheel arches and shit. Like the back tires are fucking like out. That would be out here. At least, like it leads at least to like a 6-inch flare on it. But yeah, like it's not really my cup of tea. But it's a. I don't know if it would ever be a. I don't know whether they get it back road legal or not, or what the deal was with it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But it's like frickin' like I was shit. It's like frickin' you're on the ground. And there's some other stuff too, perhaps possibly, later on as well. He was talking about maybe some other things as well. But the Valiant, it's orange at the moment. And it's probably, I don't know whether it's going to be orange again afterwards or not. But like we're never going to get to that point. But it's basically fix the rot in it, straighten the rest of it up, give it a decent frickin' block out, whatever, blow a few coats of highboard on it and block it out and whatever. And we'll get it so it's pretty decent. And, from there on it'll be basically, probably a painter, he'll probably block it out and just to see where it's at and then spray it, I guess. But yeah, we've got to try and get it as close as we can to be ready to be painted. So that's what the story is there. So hopefully that goes ahead, and then we'll just keep playing it with some of these other ones. you know, that hopefully we're going to get to, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just waiting for freaking hear back from people is the biggest problem. Anyway, we'll carry on. We'll get some, I better get some of that shit ordered. Hopefully I got enough in there to give that a scuff up and get some of that in there. And we'll go from there, I think. Damn it. Well, that didn't go as planned. What I just realised was when I flipped it over, it all buckled. And I had a decent look at the bottom of that door again, and the old piece I took off. Because what I did, as you probably would have seen in the fucking video, is I thought that it must have been a bit of a shape in that door, and it kind of looks like there is, but it's actually fairly straight. It's just the end of the door here, as it goes from here to out to here, it just sort of curls out, but the bottom of the door is actually fairly straight. It might curl very slightly in that corner. And because I think what happened when I've welded these couple patches in, it had pulled up a little. So I just straightened it out reasonably well. It's a pain. So what I did is I cut it back and rebent it, and then it just completely fucked the panel up. Where are we? I don't know, somewhere about, it's hard to freaking hold it with one hand, as you know, but it's way straighter. It's not perfect, but yeah, unfortunately I freaking screwed that up. So when I rebent that bottom of it, what I should have done is probably got in here and hammered this down and straightened it up, but I didn't realise it had buckled quite so much. Anyway, so we'll remake that door skin and we'll re-roll it and we'll refit it. It's just the easiest way around it, because I've completely screwed that one up now. I can't use it. It'll be too short if I try and fold the bottom out anyway, so it's just as easy to remake it. Alright, we're finally back to where we should have been. Right, so that's far better. So I think what was happening with the outer panel is actually there is a bit of shape in that bottom. It's straight, but it's got a almost like a curve in it here, and I had to pull the panel back in to stop it from slipping away from that lip. And obviously you would have seen that I tacked it along there in a few places because it was just to get it to hold in so I could fold it over properly. So I think now we're pretty good. Obviously after lunch I'll give this a quick clean up along here. We'll go along and weld that. I need to find a gun and we'll just start walking our way across here with tacking it on, cooling it, trying keeping it as nice and cool as possible, and then we'll turn it back over and we'll do the final clean up and dolly around the inside. And yeah, give it a good clean down, blow a bit of etch on the bottom. Obviously we'll clean this shit off as well. I'll probably Scotch-Brite it up to here somewhere, and then yeah, then we'll put a smear of mud in this bottom piece. Hopefully just have to do the bottom piece that we shouldn't have to do up here, but we'll clean this off. And then yeah, scooch of mud, frickin' block it off, and a coat of primer at some point when we've got the other bits fixed.
feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can't and I won't. That's what guides me the most. You lies, I'll do what I want.
Right, so you got the skin on, we got it welded. I'll just quickly knock back the weld on the inside, not fully obviously, but and then I'll just flick some etch in there on the inside. Obviously I'll go through and I'll put a smear of seam sealer in there the best I can later on, and whatever, try and seal it up from the back. Also I want to just go along and sort of just hammer and dolly that edge a little bit. Just see if I can, there's a couple of slight high spots from where it's, I don't know if it's just where it's hasn't been just 100% flat. It's flat, but it's not flat, if you know what I mean. It's like it's like got a peak in the joint. So if I can just tap it down in a couple of spots, that'd be better. I'll just set the phone down for a second. Righty, so just flip the door over. So yeah, there's just a couple of spots here where it's some of it's quite flat, and then some of it's got a bit of a peak in it. So I'd like to just go along and just see if maybe I can just put a dolly in behind and just flatten them off a little bit. It doesn't need to be bugger all. It's kind of why I put the joint in here, because we are sort of right over top of it. So it's going to make it a lot less noticeable anyway if there is a little bit of discrepancy there, if it's not perfect. But yeah, I'd like to get decent. It's pretty good through here. It's a little peaky here, flattens off again. A little bit peaky there, and then it sort of flattens off again. So it just needs to tap around a little bit. You know what I mean? Doesn't need a lot. And then obviously I want to strip this shit off here, just to get rid of the tape and shit off it. And then we will, once we sort of hammer it and dolly that around, we'll give it a bit of a good clean up. I'll probably DA it with probably some 80. I'll just run over it quickly with the Rolex with a 40 on it. There should be DAs over here, I think. Need to have a bit of a sort out again. Can't get shit everywhere. I think DA is here somewhere. Somewhere. Sure, I had it over here when I was doing those panels, or hold on, no, it might be on this table saw. Yeah, I'll put another disc on that. We'll run over it with that just to clean the panel up, and then we will put a wee smear of fill around on it. And whatever. Like, it doesn't need to be thick, it won't have to be thick, but this isn't perfect. I just quickly roll it through the English wheel, so it's not bad, but it's got a couple of little highs in it, so we skim a filler over it, quick block out, and fuck, it'll be good. By the time you get a few coats of high build on it and whatever, you probably could almost high build it, but yeah, you can probably almost high build it and get away with it, but I'd like to just a skim, just blend it up to here and just give it a wee frickin' skim, just knock it down. You know, you frickin' probably knock frickin', I don't know, 80% of it off. Just leave a little scrape in there in places. Just hammer these edges around a wee bit more. Want to build that corner up a bit better, where I frickin' just cut that off a bit wonky. I trim the edges for there, but yeah, it should be pretty good. But I think what I'll do is I'll grab that one. We'll just quickly whip over this shit, clean this crap off, and yeah, tidy that up.
inspired by thirst, I'm inspired by worth. I desire your worst, so you can just hide while I work. I ain't tired, you first. I'll write a second, third verse about the lies you go disperse. You never did shit, I know it hurts, but something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Your lies, I'll do what I want.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you.
Right, I'm just waiting on some body fluid. Right, it's cooled off this morning, so it's taking a little bit longer to go off than normal. Well, it's just cool. So what I'm going to do is up here is what a scabby rust. Got a sort of scabby rust on this edge. So what I'm going to do is reach as far across here as I can. I've actually let the tyres down and got a couple of those half pelts I cut here ages ago. So I'm trying to reach over here as much as I can and just clean up this front edge up till probably about here somewhere. Just get all the paint off it and any other blistery, rusty stuff. Give that a good clean up with the Scotch-Brite wheel and just see what we're dealing with. See if there is actually any holes in it or not. Hopefully there's not, because, well, it's a big job to fucking pull the hood lining out to try and, so you don't have to fucking like redo it. Hopefully there's no holes in it. Doesn't actually look that bad. From what I could see, I don't think there's any holes, but you can see where the rust is starting to bubble up underneath the edge of the front of it. So we'll jump over the other side. We'll clean that up. And then I've got some rust treatment. What I'll do is I'll probably tape out around here. And I've got some rust treatment that I'll paint on, then I will clean back off again in a few hours, however long it takes to dry. And that should clean up this front edge. And then, yeah, we'll give it a good DA, and then we'll just blend a bit of frickin' primer back in there, or whatever he wants to do, until he gets ready to paint it. But yeah, it's quite lucky. Haven't seen any holes yet, so we won't poke too hard though, you know what I mean? If we can get away with it, we'll get away with it. We'll just treat it and see if we can get it to neutralise.
Come one in a dozen, the other 11 give something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I seek what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm
Right, I just realised I've got some paint brushes here, but I've only got a big wide one left. All my other ones are all shot. So what I want to do is, show you here, I've got this here. It's a metal conditioner, it's rust converter, well, rust remover metal conditioner. It's not a converter. It basically removes the rust of what's left. So I use this on outside of bodies. When I'm doing like body work and say there's some surface rust on something, that's what I use on the outside. If I've got something down to bare metal and there's a little bit of surface rust and a couple of patches or something like that, if I can't obviously get it off with the Scotch-Brite disc or whatever, or something like that. Yeah, I don't think that brush is any good anymore. Nah, it's frickin' glued up. That must have been, I don't know, that might have been paint actually. So yeah, that paintbrush is no good. So yeah, and on the inside, just bits and pieces. When I'm doing repair work on doors and whatever, if I got any, where's that can? Leave it clean there, straighten up again. Use this. So if I'm inside panels, like inside the door and bits and pieces, where you're never really going to get back into, all that sort of stuff, something where you're not looking at, and you're trying to get them back in between seams and like sort of inside like hoods and bonnets, like in between the bracing and stuff like that. This is what I use. I've also got it, actually need some more of that. I've also got a big massive tub of it, so if I get stuck or whatever, or if I need a lot of it, so I've treated a panel and it's, done a bit of metal work on it and whatever, and cut some rust out. I've got it in a big, where's that gone? Might be in behind here, is it? That one. Oh no, down in here, sorry. I've got same thing, but in a big container, so I can pour that in a cup, like a small paint cup or whatever, and then tip it into like all the crevices and let it run around. It's not a bad product for that sort of thing, but don't use it on the outside of a panel, especially because it stops. It's weird. It's like stops paint, like 2-packs and all that sort of shit from sticking properly. It like goes glassy. It really needs, if you're treating something, you really need to take it off. Where this is a product you put on and then you've got to clean it off again. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to put a bit in a cup. It's a dab, put a little bit in there. Get a paintbrush, paint it on, and that's why I put the tape around there. Just try and stop any of the residue from that getting onto the, like soaking into the hood lining. So I put a double lot of tape around there, just hopefully keep that as a barrier. Yeah, and then in a, I don't know, 24 hours time or whatever like that, I'll come back and we'll clean that back off with a Scotch-Brite disc again, and give it another good clean up, and then treat again if need to, and then that should stop that as much as it's going to, if you know what I mean, without stripping the whole roof off and really blasting it and cleaning it up really heavily. That's as good as bad as you're going to get a product a bit like this. There's whole heaps of different products like this. This is just one I found locally so far that works, that I can get hold of easy. Sometimes you get a really good product, but it's a fucking bitch to get hold of. It's like one of those weird products that somebody doesn't sell much of, but it's a really good product and it's expensive, and the next time you go to get it, you freaking, oh no, sorry, I haven't got any of that left at the moment, we're waiting for another shipment. And then it's like freaking 3 months before it turns up again. You want better, just go and get something that is going to work and that you should be able to get hold of reasonably regularly. I haven't actually checked with my paint guys to see whether there's anything else, but I've got heaps of this. Like this is basically a brand new bottle, so I might as well use that until whenever. But and it was in Australia, they had a product called Antiox over there, which is, I guess, a kind of a similar sort of thing. It was really quite good to use too. I'd only ever used it once for one project. But yeah, it was like one of those products I actually wanted to do a bit more experiment with, but I'd never just really got the chance. But yeah, like there's lots of different products a bit like that, but that you can wipe on a bare metal panel and it'll neutralise, especially if it's something that's had some heavy rust on it. And you've cleaned it back and the actual panel's good. But it's had a lot of surface and whatever, and you clean it all off and whatever, and that's something you can wipe on and then clean off later. Some of them are better to clean off than others, obviously, but yeah, that works. Alrighty, so we painted our treatment on there. I don't know if you can tell. So hopefully, over another, 24 hours, we'll better get that cleaned up, and then it should be all nice and clean. We'll just have to see how it goes. I've still got a little bit in there in the paintbrush. If we have to retreat, whatever. But yeah, I'll just give that a good painting, and then whatever, we'll just retreat that. So I'm just in the midst again of waiting on a little bit more glaze. So I just put some glaze on here just to pull a few marks and scratches and whatever, and try and get this a bit further along. So it's just about dry. The biggest problem is we had some nice full sun here this morning. It was starting to warm up, but it's cooled off again, so it's not very warm at all. Panel's quite cool, so. But yeah, we'll just persevere. So now that I've got that done, what I might do is open that door and start having a wee nosy at this back end stuff. And we'll probably do that last, to be honest. But yeah, we'll whip out, so we can whip these two side windows out and at least maybe get them cleaned up and treated.
Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life changes, just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours.
Yeah, definitely needed. Definitely it's treated and cleaned up. But it's left any longer, it should be holes, I would say. Hopefully it's solid. But yeah, we'll treat it with that stuff again. And yeah, that's the biggest trick. It's to get a good neutralizer. Some of those rust encapsulators are a good thing on the inside, but where there's not quite so much moisture, they'll work obviously for a fairly long time, but unless you really treat it on the outside and get rid of any rust, if I can get this off in a minute, and get rid of all the surface rust and then treat it properly, yeah, you're sort of pushing shit uphill, if you know what I mean. Let's close it up so it's a bit easy to walk around. So yeah, like, I don't know, maybe after lunch or something like that, we'll go around this again with the Scotch-Brite. We'll Scotch-Brite this 2 or 3 times if we have to, and then treat it again, if you know what I mean. Get stuff really bites in and gets that shit cleaned up, and we'll keep cleaning it, and it'll get all that rust out of there eventually. And if there is anything left in there, it will really, really, really neutralise, and hopefully it won't break out for a long time. As long as we get it sealed up, it should be pretty good. Right, I'll drag that around the other side and we'll get this shit off and cleaned up, and then I'll better bugger off, have some lunch and see what's going on. Right, morning everybody. Oh, just clean the lens a little bit. That's a little better. Anyway, so yeah, my day's recently been very, very muddled up, but I won't go into that at the moment. But just yeah, I don't think my dad will be here much longer. But anyway, I'll run back around this with a Scotch-Brite wheel. Yeah, it's pretty dry. We'll give this a really good clean up again. Attack this, see if we can get it to clean up a bit better, and then however that looks, we'll give it another hit. Probably, I would say, especially this side. we'll do the other side and we'll whip around the windscreen as well. I'll use what I can of this disc, like just because it's I'll use this for the majority of it, and then I'll probably get another new one again and just go back in quickly around these edges. Just the new one's got that nice sharp edge, so you can get into these corners really easily. And I want to see if I can knock down this door properly. I haven't done that yet, so I want to hit this down and try and get this ready for primer. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to, I don't know, just mask it out from here up. In the meantime, just blow some primer in the bottom. I want to try and do that today if I can. It'll just depend on what happens with Dad. Unfortunately, that's life. Unfortunately, it's just, yeah, we've kind of come to accept it, but you know what I mean. It's been coming slowly for a while. For those that don't know, I haven't really talked too much about it. This time last year they gave Dad 6 weeks. Us kids didn't know that, only Mum and Dad knew that. But yeah, he's still here to this day, but basically what happened was, you know, it was about 16 months ago, so back just before Christmas 2022, yeah, 23, 24, yeah, 2022, he ended up with a really sore hip, and it had happened several years beforehand. He had torn a muscle off, and it re-knitted and whatever, and he thought he'd done the same thing, and hadn't really done much about it. But then, it was about 4 or 5 months later, just nothing was coming right. You know, he'd sort of been to the doctor and whatever, and they'd done a wee bit of other bits and pieces, trying to see if, you know, they could work out what was going on. But eventually they did some scans and whatever, and MRIs and whatever, because he was, you know, typical stubborn male, just thought that was what was going on. Similar thing, you know, it'll come right in a few months' time. You know, it'll just take a wee while. You know, take it easy. You know, try not to do too much and whatever. But it wasn't that. What had happened was he had a cancer growth off his kidney. His kidney was still functioning fine at that point, and he'd grown off that rat that's around his pelvis on his right hand side, and just basically eaten away a fair chunk of the pelvis on the right hand side. Yeah, right hand side. So yeah, basically they must have said then he had 6 months. Well, Mum and Dad have been, I'd say in the last 30 to 40 years, been reasonably alternative to taking like the drugs and medication. They'd rather do things naturally. So they chased a lot of other different things, and I think that's what's prolonged his stay for the last 12 months or a bit more. But yeah, they looked into, just happened to stumble across Kangen water. We think that's really stretched his life expectancy out. We were hoping that he might have been able to beat it to a degree, if you know what I mean, at least give him a few more years, but you know, he's 77 now, like just past Christmas. But yeah, like he was hoping that maybe he'd get fit enough to at least be able to go back out and camper again and whatever, you know, for at least another couple of years, you know, with Mum or whatever. But it just hasn't happened. He's just progressively got worse and worse and worse and worse, and it got to the point there, he'd been backwards and forwards to, we're in Southland, New Zealand, near Invercargill, if you have a look on the map, Hombre Garage. But further north, well, sort of northeast a little bit, about 2.5 hours away, there's another major city called Dunedin. So they've got a lot of the bigger care, I wouldn't say bigger care facilities, but they've got more specialists in the field of cancers and whatever. And so he's been backwards and forwards there a couple of times, had some some more in-depth scans and bits and pieces and stuff like that. And yeah, the last time we went there, which was not long after Christmas, in January, I think it was, yeah, a couple of months ago, basically. They said that the tumour from the last time he had been scanned, which was like in the middle of last year, was the last time he had a major scan. It had grown 4 centimetres, or about an inch. No, sorry, about half an inch, or thereabouts, in size. No, what am I talking about? Half an inch, 4 centimetres. No, about 2 inches. Sorry, close to borderline 2 inches, inch and 3/4. Brain's not working this morning. So yeah, and they said it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. So yeah, obviously what he was doing was helping, but it was just prolonging his stay. Unfortunately, you know, we thought it might have been enough to reduce it and whatever. So they done some radium therapy because he couldn't do any chemo because it was attached to his kidney. So yeah, otherwise it would kill his kidney. So yeah, they done some radium and whatever to maybe give him a bit more time. But yeah, just not last week, the week before, he ended up in hospital because he was just in so much pain. So they managed to drain his bladder, and because it was backing up hugely, didn't realise he was still peeing quite regularly, but it must have been like it's really holding fluid. And a couple of other things, and they put him on some heavy doses of like, some drugs and morphine and painkillers and whatever like that. So he ended up back in home, but yeah, just over the last week, he's gone from being able to sit out in the lounge and whatever, just to, for 3 or 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, like he was quite happy to sit out in the lounge and just talk to people and whatever, as I've been coming to visit, for quite a while, since he's been pretty crook. But he was in generally good spirits, but once he'd been in hospital, just bang, it was pretty much, there was a couple of days that he sort of sat up for a wee while, and we thought, he sort of perked back to his normal self again, what he had been like, but it's just nosedive. We actually thought he was going to go yesterday. He said to Mum yesterday, he said, I think today's the day. But yeah, like the biggest problem is like his immune system's shutting down so much now that like he's got really scabby around the face and all those sorts of things. And I don't think the drugs and all that sort of stuff have been doing much for his throat or anything like that either, because there's a lot of it's in pill form, because he's not on an IV, so it's in pill form, so it's almost like it's burning the inside of his mouth and whatever like that. Like it's not burning, but you know what I mean. It's not doing much favours. So yeah, he's not good. So yeah, like I went around there this morning, just called him on the way to work, and yeah, he basically just said, good morning, and then he just sort of slumped back to sort of almost asleep. So I said, I'll see you at lunchtime sort of type thing. So my partner's going around there after she's got the young fella to school and whatever, and we'll just keep assessing it. I think my sister's coming back in from her place, though she lives about an hour away. I'm the closest by. I'm only 2 minutes around the corner, if you know what I mean. My brother he's about half an hour away, 20 minutes away. He's in the major city in Invercargill near us, and So yeah, I don't know. I'll just keep soldering on. I want to try and get this done and out of my here. I think by tomorrow I should have this sorted and done. I hope to a point where I can bugger off. I was going to do tailgate, but he just messaged me this morning and said he's going to admit one, so not to worry about that around that back window. So that's cool. That's one less thing I have to do. But yeah, we'll attack this stuff, get that cleaned up again, get it treated again if it needed it, if it doesn't clean right up. So we'll just do that a couple of times and see if we can get it back as far as we can and get it neutralised as far as we can. So the less black that shows up each time, the less rust that'll be in there. It's kind of the best you can do, and you just get it back as far as you can and clean as you can without taking metal off, if you know what I mean. So yeah, because we'll be getting thin in spots. I don't want to be repairing it. And once we get it that far, then I'll get some etch on it, and we'll just put a wee bit of glaze on the edges, and we'll just put we smear a glaze or whatever, and then I'll tape up quite a bit of it, and we'll just blow a bit of primer on there, and whatever, and then he's gonna repaint it, like I've said. So anyway, we'll I'll grab some earmuffs for taking the top off, and we'll get this shit cleaned up, and we'll go from there. All right, so I've cleaned up, reapplied in here. So yeah, I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to get out. It's pretty ingrained. We'll just have to keep trying over the next couple of days. See if we can get it as neutralised as possible anyway. It's pretty heavily ingrained. That stuff works pretty good, but it worked pretty good on that, but you never had any issues with it being quite so rusty and scabby, because that had already been sandblasted. It was more, had a lot of surface on it, but it wasn't heavy and really bitten in. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I can do. Maybe I could do some tape up from the back and maybe try and get in there with my little blasting gun and try and blast some of it out too. I don't really want to do that because I don't want to have any other fucking grit everywhere. Righty. It's not perfect at the moment, but I just sort of get a bit of build on there. It's kind of, it probably could have done with another couple of little low spots filled, but I might come back over with a little bit of glazing paper. What I want to do is, there was hardly anything left in that can, enough for, yeah, I'll show you on here anyway, up to number 4 on this 4-to-1 on here. So what's that? Would that be 125 mils maybe tops, with the hardener and just a touch of thinners in there. So I've put just a couple of light coats on there. I've still got enough in there, probably enough in the gun for another couple of coats, and then we'll let that cure off, and then I'll block it off, and we'll just see whether I actually have to fill anything, or whether I can just get another couple of coats. I might have to put a little bit of glazing putty in a couple of spots down there. I know it wasn't dead perfect, but it was close, and it was close enough. I thought maybe a couple of 3 coats of primer will get the worst of it, if you know what I mean. Give it a block off, and then maybe flick another couple of coats on. You can see where the weld joint is up here, but it's actually underneath that. What do you want to call it? It's under that moulding, but I'm hoping again with a couple of 3 or 4 coats on there, and then give it a decent block, they'll level out, and it won't be so noticeable, if you know what I mean. Even if it isn't, you know, even without the moulding on there, it won't be quite so obvious. But yeah, we'll just get a bit of build on there and just see where we're at. It's not that bad, you know. It's not hard to chase a few little bits and pieces when you're only just frigging around with one panel. And I haven't got the step off, but I've soaked all the bolts. It's, I don't know, it was 7 or 8 bolts underneath there that I think I've got to take off. There's an extra couple at the front and an extra couple at the back, but I don't know if they actually they're just holding the rubber end bits on, or whether they're actually part of the bracketry. I'm not 100% sure. So I'll undo the main 8 that I could see, and then we'll slip it off. But I'll give them a couple of soaks before I attempt to take them off. I'll just quickly throw some covers on all this stuff. So not that I'm painting much, you know. I'm not as I'm painting around frickin' everything for 10 minutes and then stopping. I'm only just blowing a couple of coats on, so it shouldn't be too bad for overspray, but just in case. But yeah, we'll flick let that cure off for a minute, and then we'll bash another couple on, and then we'll just leave it for probably till after lunch, and then I'll shoot back down. We'll give it a rub down, make sure it's dry first, because it is cool. It's not cold, but it's cool. And yeah, even if I have to leave it for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, and then just give it a rub back, and then I've got another can of highball in there that I can open, and yeah, then maybe just bash another couple of coats on it, just see where it sits. The guy off the Falcon Ute that I've been talking to off and on, he messaged me again last night, and we'll go around and try and go around and see him at the weekend, as long as everything else is going all right, and try and touch base with him. So if I can I should be able to get this this truck out of here by hopefully maybe tomorrow. We'll see how the other stuff pans out, and I've still got that little rust spot to do, but I don't think that should be a major. It'll just be a matter of just making a little patch in there and welding it in and just cleaning it up, and we'll just put a wee scoocher filler on, and I mightn't even bother about putting any high build or anything on there. We'll just put a wee scoocher filler on, smooth it off pretty good. We might just block it out with a little bit of 220 or something like that, and we'll just smash a couple of coats of that frickin' etch on there until we get a chance to paint it. We'll not etch the epoxy. We'll just blow a wee bit of epoxy in there, or if we happen to be putting another couple of coats on that door maybe tomorrow or something like that, we'll see how that pans out. But if I can get that little patch done in the meantime, just a wee scooch of filler on it, we might better blow a little bit of primer there, because I would like to blow a little bit of primer around those, possibly around those openings as well. But I might just put a little scoocher glaze in there or something like that, just on the bad spots, and then just kind of leave the rest up to him once he sort of starts, if he's going to give it a good rub back. He's going to be putting a little bit of frickin' bits of primer and paint and whatever on it somewhere anyway, so he'll better, I'll get that paint neutralised, get all that rust neutralised for him, and we'll get that sealed up, and when he's doing his body work, or at least he can fill the rest in, if you know what I mean, the little bits and pieces here and there. There you go, guys. Welcome back to NZ Hombre Garage. Hey, merch time. So I finally got some merch from myself. So this is one of the designs in t-shirts. So this is from Print Mighty here in New Zealand. I also have a Teespring store. I just was trying to find something locally, so if I wanted to get merch myself for the workshop, whatever, the freight costs from the Teespring stores, because a lot of it's in US money, it gets fairly expensive when you're trying to ship here to New Zealand. But I've also got a hoodie here as well. So I do have a different logo as well. So this is the hoodie. It's the same print as what this one is. So I do have a slightly different logo, which is very, very similar to this. This is Minnesota Outlaw Customs logo in the US, which we're kind of trying to been combining as channels for a long time. But yeah, I've got a very similar logo, so it's basically that skull, but in sort of more black and white and grey, but like this with the spanners in it as well. A similar sort of thing. So that's the other logo. I'll pop a picture up. Eventually, when I get a chance, I'll get some more of that merch. So I've got some to show you as well in a video. But yeah, so there's Print Mighty here in New Zealand. They do ship outside of New Zealand as well. Oh, there's Teespring. There's quite a different variation of stuff on Teespring, and I'm trying to build a different variation of stuff on the Print Mighty here in New Zealand. So maybe the Print Mighty might be better for maybe Australian market as well. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but yeah, just I know the shipping from Teespring to here was killing the price even for me to buy at my discounted price. But yeah, so there's those two merch stores. They're both linked in the links in the top of my YouTube page. Yeah, there's 5 links. I think there's one for Amazon wish list, and then there's my TikTok and my Facebook, and yeah, the 2 merch stores. So if you click on either one, depending where you are in the world, you'll find some merch there. Both very similar designs. I'm working on the Print Mighty one yet. I haven't got a small logo with this on the back. I'm trying to make it. I've just been working on building the store up. So yeah, I'm going to make some with this logo small on the front and on the back. Also, if some of the ones on the Print Mighty store, if there's just the print on the back, they are a bit cheaper. Same with the hoodies. That costs a certain amount per print, which pushes the price up. So if you're looking on the store and you wonder why the prices are different, whether for the same t-shirt but just one's got a little print on the back, that's the reason why they charge extra for each print. So yeah, I'm working on that. So there's some just on the back. So if you just have a plain t-shirt in the front with the logo on the back. But I'm also working on some with just a small print up the top here. So yeah, if you want to help support me, jump over there and buy some merch. Be awesome. But yeah, I'll try and flick a picture up of some of the other merch. But there is singlets and hoodies. Unfortunately, the print mighty doesn't have caps and beanies, or whatever you want to call these things. No, they're called different things outside of the US or in the US and stuff. But yeah, so there on Teespring there is caps and beanies and stuff like that. I'm trying to find somewhere in New Zealand where I can get them done. I wish the print mighty did them, but I'm still working on that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Right, so you might have just seen the clip when I had the other t-shirt on. I thought it was too good to put holes in the meantime. So I just threw the old Minnesota Outlaw Customs one. So yeah, that's more like the print that's on the other style of shirt. But yes, the skull that's on mine, but just in sort of black, white, grey. But yeah, this one's got Rory on the back of it, which is a car I helped design that Arco at Outlaw Edge is building, hopefully. Anyway, we'll give this an off jack, and then we might blow some more foam on. Right, I'm just trying to see if I can improve that. I come across a slightly better method to use that rust conditioner through a different product. And I thought I'd just try it the way they use it, because it's basically the same sort of thing, if you know what I mean. It's like I think it's phosphoric acid with whatever in it, whatever is that freaking container is. I think that's how this one works as well. Oh, it's freaking so small. Can't read it very well. I'd have to freaking It's definitely corrosive, so it's meant to sort of like eat in, if you know what I mean, to remove that rust. What I might do is I might get a fresh batch and try it again, but so I just keep persevering and using a Scotch-Brite in there, like a Scotch-Brite pad. I actually wish I had a coarse one. I don't have any coarse ones left. And just keep trying to scrub at that and try and keep breaking the surface off it and then get a bit deeper, if you know what I mean. That's why I just went back out with the wild reel and the purple Scotch-Brite disc, just to try and get the surface of the rust down, to try and break through, you know, the microscopic layers of it, of what's left, if you know what I mean. So I want to try and get this neutralised so it doesn't cause any issues again for the guy, you know. And if I can get rid of it and we can get back to clean steel, we will. It's just, I don't know how long it's going to fucking take. It's the worst thing. You know, I could cut this out and make a new piece, but like it's solid, so I don't really want to fuck with it, if you know what I mean. If it had a couple of holes in it, I probably would, but it's actually solid, so it seems sort of silly to fucking cut away good metal when it's okay, if you know what I mean. Scotch-Brite here and just give it another sweet scrub once it's working. Yeah. I just feel if I keep just trying to knock that neutralised layer off the top and just see if we can get a bit deeper into what's here. It is kind of disappearing as you sort of scrub it. Some spots do get smaller, so you start slowly removing it back to the clean steel underneath. But it's to get it without being aggressive, if you know what I mean. Like super aggressive, like trying to sand the pen away, because then you end up with it so thin that you do break through, which is no fucking good to know video either then. But yeah, I just wonder if there's maybe a better product. I've always used that, it's been pretty good, but it's always only ever been on sort of more light surfacey stuff, not so much heavy. This has been quite heavy, rust, scabby stuff. I know there's a product called, is it Deoxidine or something like that, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Locally, that's the biggest problem with me moving back from Australia. I got used to using like Australian products instead of being out of the loop here. Like I've been back here 3 years, but you know what I mean, like it's easy to kind of lose touch with what products are available. Like especially when the paint shop that I used to go to disappeared there, I don't know, 18 months ago I guess. There was a place called Romco Tools which did a lot of paint products and bits and pieces and whatever. I used to buy a lot of stuff from them, you know, sort of 10 years ago. And they were still around until about 18 months ago, but they were good for what? It was all bodyworking sort of type tools, sort of stuff, you know, automotive bodyworking tools. They were about the only ones that actually really specialised in just non-paint products as well. You know what I mean, like they had hammers and dollies and air sanders and all that sort of shit to do with the automotive world. But yeah, they sort of disappeared. The guy wanted to retire and nobody wanted to take over. It seems like a freaking common thing nowadays. None of the young people want to freaking take some of this stuff over, which is a pain. But yeah, I'm actually half tempted to go talk to freaking the mate around the road and just see what he thinks, because I've had about 3 or 4 goes at this, especially this one, and I've had 2 goes at the others. I just would like to see what his opinion is. I might take a couple of photos and just say, look, I've had 3 or 4 goes at this with that. What do you use? And maybe try it and see if it'll pull this way. Like I could sandblast it, but I just don't seem to have enough pressure to make that work properly, to get a good grip into it, if you know what I mean. But that grit has been around a while too. It's lost its edge. Like I've been using it in the blasting cabinet for quite a while, so it's like lost all its bite too. Like it sort of cleans stuff up, but yeah. We might have a yarn to him and just have a nosy and just see what he reckons. It'd be nice just to fucking get that back cleaner if I can. Like I could put a brand new Scotch sanding disc on there, on my little on my right angle diagram. I could put a brand new disc on here and have another go. Like that one's pretty aggressive too. I was just trying to get one that was a wee bit more worn on the edges so it wasn't quite so aggressive. Because like I said, like it'll tear through this. This isn't very thick. It's only 0.8. That would be like 20, 21 2 gauge sort of stuff. Maybe even 22. It's not very heavy. I normally use 19 gauge, but this seems to be 19 gauge is this, which is 1 mil, but this seems to be 0.8, so it's 20% thinner. So whatever that is, I think it might be like 21, 22 gauge. You know, like a modern vehicle. So it's quite light. You gotta be careful you don't frickin' grind through it too quick. I might just hit it again with a fresh disc just to see, but yeah, just to get that shit off so it doesn't come back, or at least you know it doesn't come back for several years. This side's not as bad, but it's still, you know what I mean. And then across the roof as well. But yeah, anyway, we'll have another go. Right, so I shot round to the guy that does my sandblasting, and I was talking to him. I've been meaning to buy something like this for a long time. I forget. But he said, yeah, he's tried those rust conditioners type of stuff. He said, yeah, it works on the light stuff, but it never had any great success with it, with stuff in around windows where it's got that quite crusty rust on. But, you know, he said, yeah, if it hasn't broken through, you should give this a try. You know, you might better just get, 99% of it off. Maybe hit it again with that conditioner, and try and get it sealed up the best you can and go for it. You said, it's either that or you just got to cut it out and whatever. But yeah, he said, if you can avoid it, try that. And he said maybe even just a die grinder and just if you get some of the deeper bits, you might better get in there and just knock that rust out and hit it with the conditioner again. That'll help clean it up and so whatever. We'll give this a bash and see how it works. Righty, so belt sander here does work, but I'm not particularly impressed with this belt sander because the belt keeps fucking falling off. I don't know, like it's just, said I just grabbed one of the ones out of the drawer here, had some wide ones and some narrow ones, so I just grabbed the narrow one, but it doesn't appear to be very straight, so it's probably not that fault, it's probably just something that's worn there. So I've tried a combination of that and this roll oxes and wire wheels on grinders and like these like little flappy frickin' sanding discs and back to a Scotch-Brite and then back to the de-ruster metal conditioner, and this is as good as I've got it. So it's better. It is better. But I don't think I'm going to get really any much more out of it. I'm like pushing shit uphill at this point, I think, without sandblasting or cutting steel out. I think that's about as far as I can go. So I think it's worth probably just etching at this point and trying it. Like if it doesn't last, what do? You're at that point where you cut the steel out and build a new strip and put in there and go from there, if you know what I mean. Like I could, but look, I don't want to be stripping all the fucking lining out. Like you're going to have to strip all the panels out and lots of bullshit. We're trying to avoid that. It's solid enough, if you know what I mean. So there's no point frickin' chopping metal out if we don't have to. But so it's got that metal conditioner on it now. I've wiped it down, done all the processes for it. Washed it down, wiped it down with water and dried it off and whatever. So now I'll give it a prep with some wax and grease remover, and I'll tape this out around here. We'll put just some wide masking tape around here at least, and I'll hold a board in there, and we'll just flick some etch. Probably just even put a bit of tape down here. We'll flick a bit of etch in there, and then I'll probably go over with a bit of glazing putty to just get rid of any pitting. Once that's dried, I'll just put a wee smear of glazing putty in there just to fill the pits up so the water can't sit in them. And then just proceed to put a wee bit of primer around them later, or whatever, or epoxy. I might even just trying to think what I should do. Will I put etch in there, or will I put epoxy? I might put epoxy actually. I might use that rattle can epoxy. I'll ring those guys and I'll just see whether I can put body filler over top of it. Now I might just use the etch. I know that works. I'm not 100% sure on the epoxy, but yeah, then we'll put some glazing putty in the pitting to try and smooth it out, and we'll give it a wee sand and smooth it out so we can at least get so the water can't sit in the pitting stuff, and then hopefully it'll hold for a few while. If I think we can get it sealed, we should be okay. It's one of those things you just got to try it. It's a pain in the ass. I'll just have to say to them, look, it may come back with I've done the best I can do without cutting good metal out or getting it sandblasted. That would be the next step, but it's again, you gotta fucking strip the thing out and cover it up the best you can, and who knows, like you might blow holes in it then, and I'm just trying to avoid that. Trying to turn it into a way bigger job than it needs to be, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we will clean it up. Worst thing comes worst, we'll get it painted and whatever. I'm going to say, look, just drive it around for a while, make sure there's nothing sort of looks like it's going to pop back out. But it's pretty well treated, so hopefully it's good. Right. So sprayed around there. So we've got that sealed up in the meantime. And I've just finished doing here too. So I've just finished cleaning that up and treating that as well. So hopefully that'll be good. So we'll let that dry and then I'll put a little bit of glazing putty in there. Right, so we give it a quick knock down. I didn't go too far. I just wanted to fill some of the bad marks, and we'll give it another wee block. And then I'll pour another few coats over it. I was expecting to having to do this. Some of these aren't that bad. But what I'll do is I'll mix up another little cupful once we've knocked this down, and we'll pour another 3 or 4 over it, and we should be pretty good after that. Just, there was a few little marks, and I knew they were there, and it was just a matter of just getting a block down and work out which ones are the bad ones, and what we'll just fill with, you know, a couple of coats of primer and give it another block out. We can take it down a bit harder, but I just want to get a bit of extra fill in there, and then we'll just give it a light scuff over it, basically, just knock this stuff down a wee bit, and we'll just pour it over, and then we'll just block it out properly again. And then around the windows with the glazing putty, yeah, I've just tried to fill all the worst of the pudding, anything that was deep, just try to smear it out through there and just try and fill it. We'll give that a wee block off, and then you know, I'll check around it and make sure there's nothing else that's hidden or missed. And when we go to do a little bit of primer, I'll prime this out a bit, block this out a bit better. I'll lay some tape and paper and shit around it here, and we'll blow some primer, a couple of coats of primer in there, that hide builder as well. Right, so we've got some primer on there, got a few good coats in that, so hopefully we can give that a decent block out. Later, we'll just let it cure, do its thing, and then we'll block it out tomorrow. And I actually have that bit of boarding around the body of that, and I just turn the pressure way down and just puff a bit of primer in there, a couple of 3 coats probably in there, just light ones to get it done. Just to get a bit of primer in there, so yeah, we'll just give that a light scuff, and I think just put some paint in there, might fill another couple of bigger dents that we can now see that we've actually got some paint on there, or some primer on there. So I might put a little bit more glaze in there before we seal it up completely, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's not a bad little start, I guess. Just puffed her in there. Just turn the pressure way down, close the fan up on the gun, whatever, and just puffed it in. Right, goddamn bloody weather. here I am thinking maybe might get a frickin' warm day one of these days so I can get this stuff painted, but it's fucking pissing now, it's raining cold. Like I've only got a t-shirt on, like I'm actually, like, I'm not that cold if you know what I mean, but it's fucking cold enough. So I'll give this a quick block off, and I'll see if I can get that step off, and then we'll get around that top of that window treated, and we'll get that little patch in that bottom of that sill, in the front of that sill part. Yeah, and I was hoping that it was fucking weather was going to be good enough that I could just flick a little bit of black around, but I don't know if that's going to fucking happen either. Just too cold. Right, so rolled a piece of sheet metal through to I got it to close to the right sort of radius, if you know what I mean. Hopefully it's close enough. You know, we scooch it from here to here. You should be good, I think. I'm not going to get too fussy down there. Like again, when he's doing the rest of the body work, you know, you can put a little bit more filler in there or whatever. If we'll you know, at some point, but we'll cut the rest of that patch now. Trace around that, trim that out, and yeah, see if we can zap that in without blowing too many holes in it. Pretty much. Right, so I flicked some of that rattle can epoxy over it. I was contemplating putting some black on it, but I think that'll be fine. We'll flip it over later on and we'll put some seam sealer around the back side, and then we'll epoxy that as well. Yeah, look, the paint's got to come off it, so I think that'll be fine in the meantime. Epoxy will is reasonably weatherproof, you know, for the time being. So he's going to have to paint it and whatever and sort that shit out. So I think that'll be good enough, and he can sand that back and blend it in, and you know, he can get that join where I've got the primer up there. I didn't feather it out much. I just knocked the edge off it a wee bit. So we'll flip that up later. Just leave that lit in the sun a bit to cure properly. We'll flip it over so just so it doesn't scratch up too easy or anything, so it's not so soft. We'll flip it over, put some seam sealer around the back, and then we'll flick some more around there. So I've got my little patch made for in here. I just sprayed some weld through on it. So we'll zap that in, put a scooch of filler on that, and then I'll give these pieces a wee sand. And I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do to paint this stuff. I might give him a yell and just see what he wants me just flick some epoxy on there, or whether he wants me to put some bit of 2-pack black in there. I'll see what he wants to do. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge shortly. But you want to get that patch in, and then I can get up there and we can finish that off. Alright, we got our patch in over there. I just knocked that back with the little Rolex disc. So I'm just going to mix up a wee batch of probably just glaze, to be honest, for that little repair. Smooch that on there, give that a wee knock back later, and yeah, then we'll do the final attack around the windscreen. And yeah, we'll flip this door over. Now it's been baking in the sun for a bit. Let's move it down here into the sun a bit more again. Give that another couple of minutes while I mix up a wee batch of filler and put on that. And then we'll get up, we'll do the final clean up around the windscreen, and we'll get, again, we'll assess what we need to do up there with maybe a little bit of filler and whatever else, if you know what I mean, just to fill the pitting, just so the water won't sit in those pits. And we'll go from there, I think. Righty, so seam sealed that. I've gone over the repairs that I did too. Yeah, I've gone over some of the repairs. I just pushed some seam sealer into there. I'll pull the tape off shortly. Seam sealed the join in there. Just put some glaze down there. What I had left over, I just smooched into a few more pits and bits and pieces around those back windows. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do around there, top that window, because it's bloody awkward. And I know he's going to be painting. So I think what I might do is just, I put some etch on there. Now I might just, as a base, now I might just shoot some epoxy across there and sort of be done with it, I think. I don't really know what else to do, to be honest. Because if he's going to be painting and sanding and stuff like that, well, it's one of those things. What do I do? I probably could mix up a touch of primer and just blow it into there, and just take that frickin' cloth there just to stop the frickin' paint from, well, when I was blowing some bit of edge to go on the sunroof and shit like that. I just taped it up a bit, you know, just a little bit of tape there, paper I should say. God, can't think. But anyway, so yeah, I possibly could just blow a little bit of primer on there and then just put a bit of that epoxy over top. It's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'm going to do. He's going to be driving it home with my fucking windscreen and wants that crap in it. And he's probably going to paint in there. I don't know whether he's got paint. He might just paint normal paint in there. I really need to just get hold of him and talk to him and see what he wants me to do, and see whether he wants me to apply some black in around the back windows before I put the glass back in, or whether he just wants me to leave it out in the meantime and then he can deal with it, if you know what I mean. So I might bugger off, because that's going to be a while before it dries, and whatever like I can hang around and knock that off, but it's cold. So I might bugger off, have an early lunch, come back, knock that down, demask this once it's cured a little bit, give that freaking, I don't know, an hour or so to cure since it's cold. Yeah, and then I can blow some epoxy in around there. Just give it a quickly scuff and blow some epoxy in there so it's at least grey again, and not bare metal anywhere. And then, yeah, probably do this, knock that down. I'll probably just blow some epoxy in over that once I've given that a wee sand. Yeah, I'll just ring up and ask what he wants me to do, whether he wants me to paint some blacking around those window frames, or whether he wants to leave it alone. I'll just flick a little bit of epoxy on there just so it's not grey. We'll cross that bridge. Alright, back here. So I've demasked this. This is still very, very soft. So I don't want to paint over that yet. And I'll obviously trim any frickin' bits of hairy shit off. That's fine. And let's cure it up a bit more. I thought it might have been a bit harder than that by now, but so it's not that bad. Flicked a wee bit of primer on it, or etch on it. I haven't sanded that one yet, but I've sprayed epoxy up there to try and seal it from the weather elements just in the meantime. So I'll demask that in a minute, and I've sprayed, or sanded and sprayed the other one. So yeah, I'm kind of at the mercy of just waiting on shit to cure. So I don't really want to handle that door until it's hardened up. So I've flicked just a little bit of epoxy in there. He's not worried about it. He said just flick something on it and just, yeah. So I just thought the epoxy would be better than just bare primer. I might even just give it another coat, because the epoxy will repel water to a degree. Way better than just normal old primer will, and that'll just stop it soaking back in there until he gets it sorted and painted and whatever. So it's cool. So yeah, I'll just might climb up there, give that another coat, sand that other side. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of waiting on this, because I would like to flick a bit of that on there, but I really want that to cure a bit more. So I can mainly trim this shit off and flick a coat of that shit in there, and then I can put the fucking door on. Because up until then I can't really do much else, if you know what I mean. So I'll give that a light scuff around there with a bit of 220 and 400, and yeah, and spray some shit on that. I'll just jump back up here. Well, I shouldn't say jump, but it's just really to seal where we've got it, so at least it protects it from the weather, and it's not going to start rusting. Nothing worse than, you know, getting moisture in there and shit like that, and then it's breaking away before you can even frickin', or before you can get some paint near it. So yeah. Now let's get that still around the side. Yeah, so that should seal it up fairly well in the meantime. Right, so we got the door shell back on, bolts back in. That fits pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that. It's not probably in the dead perfect spot, but for just a quick bolt on, I think it's pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's weird how it's got this little freaking extra steps in the skin. That's the first time I've struck that, but yeah, here's what it is. Obviously we're not going to put the moulding on it, and obviously we're not painting it, but it's actually doesn't stick out too much, if you know what I mean, just for seeing it. If it was happened to be driving around, it's not going to stick out too much, and that, so not a bad base to to at least start from. So we'll go get all the rest of the door glass and the regulator and the locking pin. The wiring is a bit of a prick to put through, but that shouldn't take too much to wire back up. So yeah, we'll throw this together, and then I can probably quickly pop the back glass in. I might have to get hold of the missus to come and give me a hand once I've sort of got that far, but yeah, we'll pop it back together and we can let them know it's done. Righty, oh, it's all back together, glass back in it. That was a bit awkward by myself, but managed to get it done. Door panels all back in. The only thing I haven't done is put that trim back on, because when I realised, I thought that some of the clips had just popped out of the thing, but some of them broke. So there's only a couple of good ones. I think there's three or four that meant to be clipped into there. It's unfortunate, but it's one of those things that happen. Just give that mirror a wipe so it's not so dusty. So yeah. So we haven't got that trim on, obviously. There's no point if he's going to be painting it. So yeah, he's got the front windscreen and everything there, so just hook the batteries back up. That's not very tight. Don't know why that's, I didn't have that off. It might be for his stereo by the looks of it. Obviously that line. So yeah, close the hood, so that's ready for him to pick up and take away. So yeah, it's not a big deal, you know. We've got the little patch down there. Yeah, trying to clean that rust up around the windscreens and stuff like that, and the side glass, just so it doesn't rot out. I think we succeeded with that. So yeah, actually just tested that out. There'll be a little short video on that. I didn't realise this was here, but I've been actually thinking about buying one. So that's the owner of the sheds. One of those little Makita compressors. You know, I put my 6 ampere battery on it, which has still got a 3-bar charge, and I've been using that. I've never charged that yet since I bought that Impact. I don't use it a lot, but I use it occasionally. So it just took about 10.5 minutes to pump that up from 5 psi to 35. So the guy can drive back home. That's all the other tyres were. So yeah, well, I pumped the other one up too, but I used the yummy hose for that. It took too bloody long. But I just thought I'd test it for a bit of knowledge. But yeah, so she's all ready to go. So again, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Again, if you want some merch to help me along the way, I don't really like asking, but I'm just trying to push it a little bit at the moment. See if I can get a little bit extra income. The merch is in the either Teespring or Print Mighty here in New Zealand. So if you're in New Zealand, yeah, jump on Print Mighty or Teespring. There's a variation of different bits and pieces and styles, and some of them got prints on back and some of them got prints front and back and whatever. So yeah, and the ones with one print are slightly cheaper than the ones with 2 prints. I'm not sure about that on Teespring. I haven't worked that one out because most of them I did with 2 prints on there, but I did a few with just like this logo on the backs of them, just to make it a little bit cheaper, just to give it a cheaper option. But yeah, so I'll finish this. I'm going to give him a phone call, do my final tally, and yeah, you can come pick it up, and hopefully we'll get fucking something else in here. I've been waiting on some messages or some phone calls from some of these other people. See if I can get something else in here. Yeah, I've got a couple of little bits and pieces to clean up, sort of for myself, and bits and pieces. Like I've got to finish those running boards. I still haven't got to them yet, so that might be next week's mission until we get something else in here. But yeah, it's not looking very good. I'm getting a bit sick of frickin' chasing work. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be nice if just a few of them would come to you when you talk to them and ask them. But yeah, and we're still waiting on hear back what the deal was with the carpet with that. Hopefully that's on its way. Yeah, and hopefully the seats will be here next week, I guess. And I can get that out of me here, because it's really, there's no money owing on that. It was basically I just got to put it together and it can go, sort of thing. But anyway, we will bugger off and let the man know his truck's ready.